we're recording this, and anybody that watches it live or goes back and sees the recording, they can hear us. Otherwise, all they see is us just. So, I hate using that phone, for that. Anytime you're ready, and you just recorded that strike one. I'm the superintendent of Chickasha Public Schools. Thank you for joining us as we want to talk to you tonight and share with you some information about the safety and security bond vote that will be coming up in 8 days. But to get us started, we would like to show you a little informational video that we have put together for this bond. I'm Rick Krause. I'm the superintendent of Chickasha Public Schools. About a year and a half ago, we ran the Restoring Excellence Bond for us to start at Lincoln Elementary. Press the spring of water. I'm Rick Krause. I'm the superintendent of Chickasha Public Schools. About a year and a half ago, we ran the Restoring Excellence Bond for us to start renovations on our buildings. At Lincoln Elementary, we addressed the spring of water that's been coming up in the basement.
We were able to do some projects such as drainage, masonry restoration, and joint sealants, and we were successful with completing all of those projects.
I'm an alumni of Chickasha Public Schools. When you look at these older structures, you got to make these changes to make them safer and more efficient.
Driving through our community, it's clear that what was promised in the previous bond has been delivered. So it really is a testament that our district is committed to fulfilling the promises they make to the community and also being good stewards of our resources.
This particular bond issue, we are then there's a $1 million project that focus on safety and security. And that proposition number one is for $34.7 million, and it is not a tax increase. In fact, neither proposition is a tax increase. Then there's a $1 million proposition, which is proposition number two, and that is for transportation. With the track and field, you have to carry transportation separately. With this bond, we propose putting in security vestibules at 3 of our sites. Additionally, we'll be able to build tornado safe rooms at 2 of our sites. With the track and field, we will completely come in,
Upgrades like painting
move the visitor bleachers back,
updating our
and
current
then with our
existing
track and field, we will do new
are just
construction in
simple
there, put
ways
in a
that
turf
this bond
field
can
and an
address
8-lane
issues that
track.
show
We no
people
longer have to
that
dodge
we
all the
take pride
pulls
in
that's in the
Chickasha
track from
property.
its wear and tear.
Upgrades like painting the football stadium, updating our current existing track are just simple ways that this bond can address issues that show people that we take pride in Chickasha property, Chickasha community, and Chickasha values.
A child at the middle school and a child in the high school. So providing a safer school for my children is imperative to me and my wife alike. I'll have a child at Grand, a child at Lincoln, a child at the middle school, and a child in the high school. So providing a safer school for my children is imperative to me and my wife alike who teaches at Chickasha Public School. As an officer, it gives us an extra added layer of protection, so when we are responding, we know that there are safer protocols in place for us to be able to deal with any kind of incident happening.
And once I have a grandchild at the high school, I have one at the middle school, and I have one at Grand.
Security
A
is
parent
huge
trusts
measure,
us
for
with
me,
their children.
Even
And
before
once they
having
leave that
children,
parent's
it's always
presence,
been something
they
in the back of my
essentially
mind.
become
You don't
our
wanna fear it all the
responsibility. I want
time, but
everybody's child to
unfortunately,
be
the
safe
country
when
we're
they're
living in and the way security is a that things are huge happening, measure it's for something me. you have to think about. Even before
As an
having
alumni,
children,
career
it's always
teacher,
been
and
something
parent
in the
in this
back of my
community,
mind. You don't
this
want to
bond
fear
issue
it all the
represents
time,
something
but
for me.
unfortunately,
It is a
the
source of
country
pride
we're
for our
living in
community.
and the way that
Our
things are
community has
happening,
always been
that's
committed
something you
to
have
the
to think
education of our
about.
children. As an alumni, now more than career ever, we need to be teacher, committed and to the parent in this safety of our kids community, at school, this bond and the issue teachers who are represents teaching our something for children at me school. that is a source of pride for our community. Our community has always been committed to the education of our children, but now more than ever, we need to be committed to the safety of our kids at school and the teachers who are teaching our children at school.
Not only being a school administrator within the district, but also a grandparent of a student that attends Bill Wallace Elementary, I will feel much more at ease that my student will be attending school
Kids are our future.
that is a safe and secure learning environment.
I think I would encourage anyone who votes in the city of Chickasha to get educated about what the bond is about.
This is our future.
The most
Kids
exciting
are our
part for
future
me as
for
being
the
the
city
superintendent of
of
Chickasha Public
Chickasha.
Schools,
As
is
the
being able to work with
administration,
this great
what all is going to be
community.
covered
Each and
under
every
this
single
bond
day we're
issue,
reminded
and
of the
most
decision
important,
why we came here.
exercise your
I
right.
know that our community will look into
Go
this
out and
bond.
vote.
Feel free to
The
reach out
most
to us if you
exciting
have
part
any
for me
questions about
as
it.
being the
But
superintendent
working
of Chickasha
together,
Public
we
Schools
continue to move
is
this
being
great
able to
district
work in this
forward.
great
We hope
community.
that you'll
Each
come
and
out
every
and
single
support
day
us on
we're
August
reminded
23rd.
of the decision why we came here.
I know that our community will look into this bond. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about it. But working together, we're going to continue moving this great district forward. We hope that you'll come out and support us on August the 23rd.
Highlight here real fast. Over here at this project board, we have two different projects that address tornado safety. The first one here is a tornado safe room over at Grand Elementary. It would be a library. Currently, Grand has a library that is maybe the size of a third to half of this room. What it would do is give them a full-size library that they could use for educational opportunities for a growing enrollment that we have over there. All the furniture inside this library will be portable, so we can move it back at a moment's notice as we bring the entire student body and faculty in there in the event of a tornado emergency. Additionally, over here at Lincoln, we would put in a FEMA-rated tornado gymnasium for them. It would be utilized for classes and sporting events, but at the same time, if in case there's a tornado emergency, we can bring everyone in there and they would actually have a safe room to go. At Lincoln, I'll just be real truthful with you. Right now, our kids at Lincoln, if you remember back when you were in school, I remember back when I was in school in the 70s and 80s, it's time for a tornado drill. What do? You went out in the hallway, you lined the walls, you ducked down, and you put your hands over the back of your neck. Don't know why you put your hands over the back of your neck. That was supposed to protect something or stop something. I don't know. But that's what you're supposed to do. And that's what we do at Lincoln. They have absolutely nowhere to go right now. At Grand, they do go over to Bill Wallace. They have 3 tornado safe classrooms at Bill Wallace. And I'll just be very truthful with you. There is not enough space in those 3 rooms to accommodate the entire student bodies of both Bill Wallace and Grand, plus all their faculty. It's very tight. It's very crowded. It is not a safe environment to put everyone in over there. So we need to address those 2 areas. Here's a rendering of the inside of the library at Grand, and here's a rendering of the inside of the gymnasium over at Lincoln. Additionally, we are proposing to do security vestibules at Grand Elementary, Lincoln Elementary, and Chickasha Middle School. When you go through the main doors of each of these 3 buildings, you are directly in the school main hallway automatically. There's no bypassing into an office to check in. There's no going through a security checkpoint. You are actually into the main building. Our other 2 sites, you go in through multiple sets of doors, you're checked, you're signed in and all that. This would allow us to have that same security feature at these 3 schools as well. Also here you see a rendering of playgrounds. We need to work on our playgrounds. Any student that we have at Grand, any student that we have at Lincoln will tell you that the playgrounds are not in the best of shape. We also need to add a playground over at Bill Wallace that is age appropriate for our pre-K kids, our 4-year-olds. They share a playground with our kindergarten and 1st grade, and it's in some cases a little too big, just not quite built for them. And it would allow us to handle those needs over there. Turning over here to another big project is work on Memorial Stadium. If you have seen this stadium, you've been out there, you've noticed that we have issues that we're dealing with on the grandstand. This will allow us to do repairs to the concrete structure of the stadium itself. What it will do, in all honesty, is buy us about 5 to 7 more years of use out of the grandstand. We are going to have to come back and we're going to have to talk about this structure in the future. It's one of those things we originally had on the bond issue to replace the grandstand, but as the economy being what it is and interest rates doing what they're doing, we scaled back on this bond issue. And so to do this, to rebuild this section right here, the entire grandstand, is about $8 million, $7 to $8 million. And when we cut back, it was either do we do a grandstand or do we come over here and do these 2 projects, which are equivalent to about $7 or $8 million. We chose to do safety and security that impacted 2 school sites, knowing that we could do repairs, we could paint. We'll buy some more time. We'll talk about this again in the future. We'll see what we can do with the grandstand. We do need to address what's going on out here with the track. The track is well beyond use of life. It's patched. It has holes everywhere. We could not hold a track meet on it. It's really not safe for our athletes to use. We have to do something here. We also want to do something to the field itself. Costs on that to keep it up as a playing field are continuing to rise. We want something that also gives us some extra protection to help prevent concussions as much as possible for our athletes that will be out there. So we opted to go with a new track and turf setup. Additionally, it will renovate and preserve the water tower that we have. And so we'll be able to come in, make sure that it's sealed up, keep it around for years to come. We know it's one of our landmarks here in our community, but it will take care of from the street side view. You could see something as the new updated mascot, and then from the field side view, why our football team, their main logo, the AAA bar none. Additionally, in here, it would have a new LED lighting system or stadium system, a new sound system, and an updated scoreboard, which will be a video board as well. Our bond issue contains other projects as well that's listed on the flyer that you have at your seats here and that you can find on our website. Everything that we list in there is from new uniforms, new instruments, new equipment for multiple programs from athletics to performing arts, new student furniture. We have furniture needs all across our district. We have not been able to purchase new student furniture in our district. It's been over a decade at least. And so this will allow us to come in and start replacing some of the worst furniture that we have in use. Additionally, we need to take care of some teacher desks. We have desks out there that are being held up by books to make them level. I saw one desk recently that the drawer on it is kept closed by a pencil that they wedge in there to keep it from opening. And so there's just things across the district that we need to address, maintain, and work on. It also works on technology needs as we need to replace smart boards that are going out across the district. Since teachers have reported back, we've had 7 more smart boards that are no longer functioning, and they're used daily in their classrooms. So we've got to be able to have a funding source to continue to replace those smart boards with the newest technology that we can have, and that is sustainable as well. Also works on curriculum, textbooks. All those pieces are all contained in here. Some additional things is a new fence over at the softball and soccer fields that we are continually having to replace or repair if damage is done to it, or as the erosion is wearing it out at the bottom due to water drainage that's going on over there. Then there's a $1 million proposition for new buses and new transportation. That is to help us get our fleet up to date. We continue to look for other ways to update the fleet. I can tell you, Mr. Turner, who's over operations, has recently filed for a grant that will get us 5 electric school buses. He's also worked on converting buses from petroleum over to natural gas as an alternate fuel to help them be not just cleaner, but also more efficient with the rising fuel costs that we've all been experiencing. But this will help us with our fleet and getting it up to date with equipment and also with district vehicles, maintenance vehicles, those type of things that you see around in the community as they work to maintain and keep everything up to date for the district. This is an 11-year lease revenue bond. So the bond vote will be a week from tomorrow. Should that bond pass, we'll be able to sell the bonds after they go out to bid. And we'll start that entire process of getting everything once the bond issue passes by the end of this month. From the time that the bids are awarded and everything is in place, then we'll have 11 years to pay back the bond issue from both propositions. And with that 11 years will come a series, it's what a lease revenue bond is, I should say, is actually a series of general obligation bonds. And those general obligation bonds are all lumped together to allow us to get a larger sum of money so we can do capital improvements, handle some of these bigger projects that cost more than what you could get if you just run an individual general obligation bond or a GO bond, as they're frequently called for. At the end of 11 years, we will have everything paid back from both propositions, and then we'll move on down the road. If you're wondering, you say, well, I know there's been other bonds that have come up. We are still paying off some bonds from Bill Wallace when it was built back in 2009. We're at the close to the end of that. And so everything will just continue to roll off as they are paid off. At this time, that really is all the information. I'll be more than glad to take any questions that we have from the audience. So if you walk up to one of the sites that will have a new security vestibule, and it'll be this way with any site, you'll walk up and you'll actually press a button. It'll look like it's a big fancy doorbell is the best way I know to describe it, but I'll have a camera on there. And so they will see you back at a desk inside the main office. You will come up on camera. They'll be able to talk with you because there'll be a speaker system in there. Should you get past that and you go in through that first set of doors, you'll come in there and we will have a system in place where you will then have your ID scanned and they will run a quick, soft background check on you. And that will let them know just exactly who they're talking with, who they're dealing with. Should an alert come up on that, then you will basically you'll get to talk with an administrator. If everything comes back fine, you'll be able to talk with the secretary. They'll find out what business you're there for, check you in, and all those type of things, following our protocols for visitors in the main building. But you will go through a series of steps to be able to access the main building. Whereas right now, you get in there, you're in the main building. I'm sorry? It will be in all, all of them. I'm just describing how it will change from the current setup of these three schools to the others. The others already have the security vestibule doors. We will be adding those other pieces as well at those. Yes. Sure. Mr. Turner, you want to take that one? One of the other things is we want to get the pigeons out. Get the pigeons out of the press box. So actually, we are working towards that with the improvements that we're doing in technology over at the activity center. Once they're in place, hopefully that will be sometime this year with all the supply chain stuff. Our goal is to start a production class. And so our kids will then be able to do all those events and games over at the activity center. Once we address this piece in the future, we'll be able to move that over and include the grandstand, football, whatever might be over there as well. Any other questions? Yes, sir. We hope that by the time this bond vote comes up a week from tomorrow, we won't have been able to answer everybody's questions because not everybody will have reached out or asked, but we're certainly available to talk to you by phone. We're willing to answer emails. We'll try to meet with everyone as best we can. By the time next Tuesday gets around here, we will have done somewhere in the neighborhood about 30 community-wide presentations on the bond issue at just different events that are being held. Anybody that has a meeting, We're showing up at 7 in the morning. I have another one Thursday night at 7 o'clock in the evening. You name it, we'll be there. Because we just love talking about our school district and we want to do great things for our kids. Now, the last piece of information is probably the most important piece of information. And I really appreciate those comments, Jim. I really do. But most important piece of information is to pass a school bond issue, you have to have 60% voting yes or more. It does not let you pass a bond issue just by having a simple majority. You have to have what they call a super majority, 60% or more voting yes for a bond issue to pass, and that's on each proposition. So we would really encourage everyone, don't take me literally when I say this, vote early and vote often. What I want you to do is spread the word, let people know. Early voting starts on Thursday. Encourage others to come out and vote. We want you to vote your conscience. We would appreciate your support. But if we can get both of these propositions passed, we're going to do some pretty amazing things for our kids over the next decade or so. Well, we haven't bought anything new in over 10 years, so it's, I bet we're safe to say we're looking at kids are using desks and stuff that are 20, 30 plus years of age. If you go out there and just take a look, probably the last time we purchased any new furniture would have been when Bill Wallace opened. And so we would have put some new furniture in that building. And that building opened 13 years ago, 14 years ago, something like that. So that'll give you some context, but we have not purchased any new furniture for the high school, the middle school, Lincoln, Grand, Southwest. None of them have had new student furniture. And I've seen the desk. We've got a stash pile of desks, and when some break, we try to hodgepodge it together to get it fixed so it can go back out there. And that doesn't always work the way it was meant to work. So I think the kids would greatly appreciate it. So all of our information can be found on our website. Just go to Chickasha Schools and just type it in on your web browser, and it'll take you straight to our district homepage. You'll see a banner there about safety and security bond. You can read through the entire proposition. You can see the video that we showed here tonight. You can see all of the project renderings that we have, a copy of the flyer. We have a FAQ on there for you as well, just so you can see some of the answers to frequently asked questions about the bond. And then once again, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to reach out. We'll come to you, we'll meet with you, we'll email you, we'll text with you, we'll talk with you. We love talking about kids, and we especially like talking about kids in Chickasha. Absolutely. We have a few yard signs left. All right. Thank you very much.